De discoveroi and de first contact. The ocean floor shuddered as the deep-sea mining drill struck something that wasn't supposed to be there. All systems halt. Dr. Elena Reyes shouted into her headset, her eyes fixed on the seismic readings flashing across her monitor. The numbers made no sense. What the hell did we hit? The Mariana Trench expedition wasn't supposed to find anything but sediment and basalt at this depth, nearly 11 kilometers beneath the Pacific surface. Yet the drilling team had encountered a material that defied their sensors, impossibly dense, perfectly smooth, and absolutely not natural. Elena's colleague, Dr. Weichen, was already pulling up the sonar imagery. "Look at this pattern," he whispered. "It's geometric. Precise angles. This isn't geological formation." Within 48 hours, remotely operated vehicles descended to investigate. The live feed showed what everyone had feared yet hoped to discover: evidence of intelligent design. Not just a simple structure, but a massive one, extending beyond the range of their instruments. The material was midnight black, absorbing almost all light, yet when touched by the ROV's sampling arm, it illuminated with strange, flowing symbols. "We need to inform the UN Security Council," Elena said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "This isn't just an archaeological discovery. This changes everything." News of the find spread despite attempts at containment. The images, leaked by an anonymous source, showed a structure larger than Manhattan buried beneath the ocean floor. Public reaction ranged from religious panic to scientific euphoria. Conspiracy theorists claimed vindication. Stock markets fluctuated wildly. And governments around the world scrambled to form a unified response. The International Oceanic Discovery Coalition formed within a week, an unprecedented collaboration between nations that were often adversaries. China, Russia, the United States, India, and the European Union pooled resources and expertise. The Japanese contributed advanced deep-sea technology. Brazilian and Nigerian engineers designed specialized equipment for the exploration effort. 3 months after the initial discovery, the first manned expedition prepared to enter what they now knew was an artificial structure of impossible age and origin. Elena led the team of 12 specialists who would make first contact with whatever waited below. As their specialized submarine approached the now excavated entrance, she fought to keep her breathing steady. "Final systems check," Commander Takashi Yamamoto called out as they hovered before a massive doorway that had, impossibly, opened on its own 2 days earlier. The team wore specialized pressure suits despite readings showing a surprisingly Earth-normal atmosphere inside. Nobody was taking chances. "Remember," Elena addressed the team, "we observe, document, and retreat at the first sign of danger. We're making history today, but I want everyone to return to make more history tomorrow." They passed through the entrance into a corridor large enough to accommodate a passenger aircraft. The walls glowed with a soft blue luminescence that responded to their presence, lighting their way as they moved deeper. "The material composition is unlike anything in our periodic table," reported Dr. Arjun Sharma, their materials specialist, studying his handheld analyzer. "Yet it feels familiar somehow." As they ventured deeper, the structure revealed itself to be more than just a building. It was a vessel, a ship of impossible scale and complexity. They passed through chambers that could house entire cities, saw machinery that hummed to life at their approach, and discovered interfaces that seemed designed for human hands. "That's not possible," Elena whispered as she approached what appeared to be a control station. "This predates humanity by, it must be, millions of years." Yet when she cautiously placed her hand on what looked like a sensor panel, the impossible happened. The system activated. A holographic display materialized, showing what could only be a star map. And words appeared, in perfect English. "Genetic match confirmed. Welcome back, children of the architects." The team stood frozen as more displays activated around them, showing images of Earth from various periods in history. Scenes of a civilization far more advanced than any known human culture, building massive ships. Then images of a catastrophe. A dark wave sweeping across the galaxy. The ships departing. Earth burning, then healing. And primitive humans emerging from the ashes. They were us, Elena whispered. Or we were them. Over the next weeks, more teams entered the vessel as it continued to activate systems dormant for millennia. They discovered technology that manipulated gravity, generated limitless energy, and could restructure matter at the molecular level. The ship, which they named Prometheus, was just one of many. Scientists worked around the clock to understand the technology that suddenly made human achievements seem primitive by comparison. Elena barely slept, driven by the need to understand. The ship's AI keeps referring to us as children of the architects, she explained during a video conference with world leaders. It appears our ancient ancestors were the dominant species in this galaxy. They built these ships as a last resort against something they called the void current, some kind of cosmic catastrophe that threatened all life. And where are these ancestors now? Asked the Chinese premier. Gone, Elena replied. Either they left on other ships to distant galaxies, or they modified themselves to survive on a devastated Earth, becoming what would eventually evolve into modern humans. Either way, they left these ships for us to find when we were ready. The question that haunted everyone. Why now? Why had the ships suddenly awakened after remaining dormant for so long? The answer came 6 months into the exploration when Prometheus's long-range sensors activated, detecting multiple objects decelerating toward the solar system. We're tracking 7 vessels of unknown configuration approaching Earth orbit, announced General Lai Wei of the newly formed Earth Defense Directorate. They're transmitting across multiple frequencies. The message, when decoded, sent chills through every person who heard it. To the inheritors of the architect legacy, we received your awakening signal. The void approaches once more. Prepare your world ships. The ancient pact will be honored. Elena was present at the neutral orbital platform, hastily constructed as a meeting point, when the alien delegation arrived. Despite her years studying the Prometheus, nothing prepared her for the sight of 7 distinct species approaching across the airlock threshold. Bipedal, quadrupedal, amorphous, crystalline. The diversity of intelligent life was staggering. The being that spoke first resembled a tall, slender humanoid with iridescent skin that shifted colors with its emotions. When it spoke, the translator developed from Prometheus technology rendered its words in perfect human language. We never expected to find architects still living, it said, studying the humans with compound eyes. When your world ships activated, the signal resonated across old emergency channels. Some rejoiced. Others feared. We're not the architects, Elena explained carefully. We believe we might be their descendants, but we only discovered these ships recently. The alien delegation exchanged what appeared to be looks of shock. Impossible, said another being, this one floating slightly above the floor, its body a complex arrangement of gas-filled sacks. The architects were masters of 11 dimensions. They reshaped stars and moved planets. They were to us as gods. And yet, said the first alien, leaning closer to examine Elena, I see their genetic echo in you. Diminished, yes, but unmistakable. It straightened to its full 3-meter height. This changes everything. You have awakened the world ships but do not know their purpose. You have inherited the most powerful technology in the known galaxy, but cannot possibly understand its implications. A smaller, amphibious being pushed forward. It matters not. The void current returns. Our long-range sensors confirm it. Whether they are true architects or merely their shadow, we need the world ships. Elena felt a chill. What exactly is this void current? The aliens grew silent before the first one answered. It is the reason your ancestors built the world ships. A wave of nothing. Not darkness, not energy. The absence of everything. It consumes light, matter, even the fabric of space itself. It last came through this spiral arm 50,000 years ago. The architects were the only species with the technology to resist it. The revelation hit Elena like a physical blow. Humanity had stumbled upon not just its true heritage, but a cosmic responsibility they couldn't possibly be prepared for. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Less than one of your Earth years," replied the alien. "The void current moves faster than light, but slower than thought, your ancestors would say." As the meeting continued, Elena realized that humanity stood at the precipice of either extinction or transformation. The ships were a legacy, but also a test. Could a species that still fought over borders and resources unite to face a threat to existence itself? And more troubling, the aliens' reverence toward the architects carried an undercurrent of fear. What kind of beings had humanity's ancestors been to inspire such reactions? What power had they wielded? And what would the galaxy think of their children now claiming that inheritance? Humanity's rise and DE Galactic Confrontation. 6 months after first contact, Earth had transformed. The knowledge extracted from the world ships, as the alien delegation called them, accelerated human technology by centuries. Cities now featured gravity manipulation transport systems. Energy had become virtually free thanks to vacuum harvesters derived from the ship's power cores. Medical breakthroughs eliminated diseases that had plagued humanity for millennia. Yet political tensions had only intensified. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the window of the newly constructed orbital command, watching Earth rotate below. Behind her, representatives from 23 nations argued over the deployment of the newly activated world ships. 7 had been discovered in total, beneath the Pacific, the Antarctic ice sheet, the Sahara Desert, the Amazon jungle, the Himalayas, the Australian outback, and the deepest part of the Arctic Ocean. Each ship was the size of a small moon when fully expanded from its compressed state. Each had different capabilities according to the ship A's. Prometheus was built for knowledge preservation and navigation, Hephaestus for manufacturing and repair, Artemis for biological systems and terraforming, and so on. We can't just hand over our most powerful technological assets to an alien alliance we barely understand, argued the American representative. The void current threatens all life, countered his Chinese counterpart. The alliance has fought it before. They know what we face. Elena turned from the window. What we face is extinction if we don't work together, both among ourselves and with the alliance species. The revelation that humanity's ancestors had been the galaxy's most advanced civilization had created a dangerous pride in some quarters. Nationalist movements advocating for human supremacy had grown, fueled by fragments of knowledge, suggesting the architects had not merely been advanced, but had actively controlled the development of other species. Elena had devoted herself to understanding not just the technology but the history. The ship A's had gradually revealed the truth. The architects had indeed ruled the galaxy, not always benevolently. When the first void current approached, they built the world ships as both arcs and weapons. Most fled to distant galaxies. Some stayed to fight. Others used genetic engineering to ensure their descendants might survive a devastated Earth, becoming early humans. The Alliance species, descendants of civilizations that had either been uplifted or subjugated by the architects, maintained an uneasy relationship with humanity. They needed the world ships to fight the void current, yet feared what humans might become if they fully embraced their heritage. Commander Reyes, called a young officer, interrupting her thoughts. Void current update. The holographic display activated, showing the approaching anomaly, a spreading wave of nothingness that consumed light and matter alike, now visible at the edge of the solar system. Acceleration confirmed, said the officer grimly. New arrival estimate. 4 months, not 6. The room fell silent. Then we have no more time for debate, Elena said firmly. We activate all ships according to the Alliance protocol. We coordinate with their fleet, and we pray that's enough. Even as Earth prepared, divisions deepened. A faction called the Architects' Pride gained influence, advocating that humanity should use the world ship technology to establish dominance over the galaxy before turning to face the void current. Several key scientists and military personnel had defected to their cause, taking crucial knowledge with them. 3 months before the Void Current's arrival, disaster struck. The world ship Ares, designed for defense and weaponry, vanished from its Antarctic dock. Tracking systems detected it moving toward Mars, where the rebel faction had established a base in the recently terraformed northern plains. The Alliance representatives were furious. This is precisely why the Conclave fears human possession of architect technology, hissed Cave-Ran, the insectoid diplomat who served as their primary liaison. Your species is too young, too divided. Elena couldn't disagree. We'll handle our own, she promised, though she wasn't sure how. The solution came from an unexpected source. Commander Takashi Yamamoto, who had been working closely with the world ship AIs, discovered an override protocol buried deep in their programming. The architects weren't fools, he explained during an emergency session. They built failsafes. The ships were designed to work as a single entity when facing the void current. No single ship can operate against the collective directive when the threat is imminent. With Alliance approval, they activated the override. The rogue world ship halted its flight, then slowly returned to Earth orbit. The rebel faction, realizing they'd lost their advantage, opened negotiations for amnesty in exchange for cooperation. As the void current approached, the full Alliance fleet arrived, over 300 vessels of various sizes and configurations, representing 22 spacefaring civilizations. Together with Earth's 7 world ships, they formed a defensive line at the edge of the solar system. It won't be enough, Cave-Ran admitted privately to Elena as they watched the fleet deployments from Prometheus's command center. In previous encounters, we've only managed to divert the current, never stop it. Even the architects could only slow it down. Elena had been studying the architect records obsessively. There's something we're missing, she said. The ships were built not just as arcs, but as weapons. The architects must have had a plan beyond evacuation. The answer came to her just 2 weeks before the void current's arrival, buried in equations that had seemed like abstract theory until she connected them with the ship's positioning capabilities. They're not just ships, she explained to the Joint Human Alliance Command. Together, they form a dimensional anchor. The void current moves by slipping between dimensional layers. The architects designed the world ships to stabilize our dimension, preventing the current from penetrating. But that would require positioning them in a specific formation across an area larger than the solar system, objected Admiral Lyon of Earth's unified fleet. We don't have enough ships. We do if we include the Alliance fleet, Elena countered. Their ships can serve as amplification nodes for the world ship's stabilization field. The plan was audacious and required perfect coordination between species that had been strangers just months ago. Many of the Alliance captains hesitated to place their vessels in the vulnerable positions Elena's calculations required. It was Takashi who found the solution. We won't ask them to trust us, he said. We'll send humans to each Alliance ship to operate the stabilization technology. If anything goes wrong, we share the risk. Volunteers came forward by the thousands, scientists, engineers, soldiers, and civilians alike. 7 days before impact, 2,000 humans were dispatched to Alliance vessels, each carrying components of the dimensional anchoring technology derived from the world ships. The void current arrived as a wave of absolute nothingness. Stars winked out as it passed. Light bent around its edges. Instruments failed when pointed directly at it. Elena stood on Prometheus's bridge as the final countdown began. Every ship in position. Every anchor point established. The world ships hummed with power drawn from 11 dimensions, channeling energies human science had no names for. Field activation in 3, 2, 1. Light erupted from the 7 world ships, connecting them in a complex geometric pattern. The Alliance vessels glowed as the human teams activated their anchor points. The pattern expanded, a web of energy stretching across the solar system. The void current struck the web and slowed. For 3 days, the battle between existence and nothingness raged at the edge of the solar system. Ships failed. lives were lost. Twice, the pattern nearly collapsed when key nodes went dark, only to be saved by desperate last-minute adjustments. On the fourth day, something unexpected happened. The current didn't just slow, it began to recede. "It's working," Takashi shouted, looking up from his instruments. "The dimensional anchoring is actually pushing it back." Elena watched in awe as the wave of nothingness that had consumed countless star systems throughout galactic history began to contract, then disperse into harmless quantum fluctuations. In the aftermath, as damaged ships limped back to Earth orbit and casualties were counted, the Alliance representatives convened an emergency session. The humans were invited as equals, something unprecedented in the history of galactic politics. "What you've done is impossible," said Kavran, mandibles clicking with emotion. "Even at the height of their power, the architects only managed to divert the current. You've discovered how to neutralize it entirely." Elena, exhausted but triumphant, addressed the gathering. "Not me. All of us. The architects built the tools, but it took the combined knowledge and courage of every species in this alliance to implement the solution. That's what my ancestors didn't understand. They tried to control the galaxy when they should have been cooperating with it." The Alliance Council deliberated for days before reaching their decision. Humanity would be granted full membership in the Galactic Conclave, the first new species to join in nearly a millennium. The world ships would remain under Earth's control, but with Alliance observers to ensure the technology wasn't misused. 1 year after the Void Current's defeat, a permanent embassy was established in Earth orbit, a symbol of humanity's new place among the stars. The knowledge contained in the world ships was gradually being shared, lifting all civilizations rather than establishing human dominance. Elena, now appointed as Earth's first ambassador to the Conclave, watched as representatives from 23 species gathered for the formal ceremony. "The children of the architects have returned to the stars," announced the Conclave Elder, a being so ancient its species of origin was no longer apparent, not as conquerors, as their ancestors were, but as saviors. "The cycle is broken. A new age begins." As Elena stepped forward to accept humanity's place in the galactic community, she reflected on the incredible journey. From a chance discovery in the ocean depths to humanity's greatest triumph, not through dominance, but through cooperation. The architects had built their legacy on power. Their children would build theirs on partnership. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now represented not just humanity's future, but its rightful home. The end.